Hello, friends. Mike Fina here with the Union Labor Advisory Network. Tune into a powerful conversation with IBEW Local 25 business rep Tim McCarthy. From being denied a well-earned raise in a non-union shop to becoming a leader in one of the most respected locals in the country, Tim's journey is a testament to what happens when hard work, brotherhood, and purpose collide. In this interview, Tim shares how his path into the union began with a leap of faith, and how that decision has transformed not only his life, but the lives of countless apprentices, members, and families across Long Island. We talk about everything from the value of mentorship and union brotherhood, the fight for respect on the job, IBEW Local 25's role in clean energy and offshore wind, and why investing in people always pays off. It's not about the title, it's about taking care of the people who take care of the work. This conversation is for anybody who believes in building better careers, stronger communities, and a future that works for all of us. Let's get into it. Hello, friends, and welcome to the Union Labor Advisory Network. I'm Mike Fina. Today, I'm extremely proud and privileged to be with Tim McCarthy, business rep, IBEW Local 25 here in Hauppauge, New York, to learn a little bit more about his background, history, and experience. I know him for quite some time. Dresses nice, dresses the part, a little tatted up. A couple of years. But again, thanks for sitting down and being here today. Appreciate your time, and if you could share a little bit more about how you got yourself into the trades, and then some of the progression, because now you're doing some stuff with offshore wind, and it's really incredible. So I'd love to share your story.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So when did my journey start? Damn, that was a long time ago. So I was a young man. I was actually working in a factory, and they had a machine shop that I worked in. And I was doing a lot of the electrical control panels and stuff like that in there for a bunch of the lines.
How did you find that about? Did you learn that in high school before?
No, just kind of one thing to the other. I was always good with my hands and whatnot, so just whatever. But ended up working for an electrical contractor that was doing work in that building. I ended up applying, got a job, and so ended up working for that contractor for a number of years. Non-union contractor at the time. And so, funny story, years had gone on with the company I was working for, and they had a big automation project that I was asked to do. And so I was like, yeah, I like challenges. I was good at doing that sort of thing, fiddling around with it. So engineered it, wrote the program for it, installed all the wiring, programmed it, commissioned it, and worked out well. Very successful job. The funny thing is, I didn't do that from 7 to 3. 7 to 3, I was installing all the brick and mortar type stuff. Yep. After I'd get home, I'd figure out how to do the programming properly for the automation and whatnot. And because it was something I was into, Anyway, everything was beautiful. He came back from vacation. He wasn't even there for the commissioning. The boss went on vacation. Very nice. And when he came back, I say, listen, I just kind of ushered in a new, basically, division for your company. Do you think I can get a raise? And he said no. And I wasn't even asking for that much. I was asking for like $1. So I was so pissed off that I was like, all right. Conversation sort of ended in me slamming the door, pictures falling off of his wall as I left. And I took the following day off of work. And where do you think I went?
Motor Parkway over here?
370 Motor Parkway. I knocked on the door. They were like, can we help you? I'm like, how do I organize my shop? They were like, oh, come right in. We have someone that'll talk to you about that. And so that's what started my union career as an electrician. So I had worked for this one company for quite some time. We ended up going through an organizing battle that went over a year. Ended up getting fired from that company and going to the NLRB with a unfair labor practice case, the whole 9 yards. And wound up getting my job back with that company. At this point now, I'm a member of Local 25. I've gotten sworn in and have a union card number and everything, which was great. And about maybe a little less than a year after I went back to work for the gentleman who disenfranchised me at the time. He came down, he signed a union agreement, became a union contractor for, I guess, like the next 25 years. So it worked out for all of us in the end.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
So all the guys that were working at the shop at the time, they all came on board. So it was a good moment for them, good moment for us. So that's how I got into the union.
Into Local 25.
Local 25, yeah. I went through the apprenticeship program, turned out as a journeyman wireman, and I've been there since.
And then, how did you progress into becoming a business rep for the local? And I know you're one of the lead for some offshore wind opportunities as well, which is really incredible.
Yeah.
Again with all your background and
Yeah.
I guess the stuff that you love to do, you're learning all these.
Well,
things.
it's funny because like you kind of fall into roles as they're presented to you, right? Like I never had an ambition to be a business rep. To me that was like that was on a different planet somewhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just wanted to go to work Monday to Friday, with decent conditions and wages and whatnot, and proceed with a middle class, livelihood. But just worked hard. You become a foreman. You start to, get the lay of the land of being a good electrician, good to your manpower, understanding, ultimately speaking, why there is a good paycheck in your pocket on payday. Mm-hmm. And it's always been, Local 25s, the union movements. It doesn't matter who signs your check. At the end of the day, it's what's on it and why do you have that. So I never really got aligned with any kind of companies anywhere along the line. My loyalty was always with the hall. And it didn't matter who I worked for. I worked very hard for them. Became a foreman. Somebody was like, hey, maybe you should get into the shop steward program. Because I was a very union-minded person, you know. So, hey, maybe you should get into the shop stewards program. We think you'd be a good fit. So I said, all right. Write a letter, or a little resume and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Like, interested in being in the shop steward program. And was asked to come aboard doing that. And just staying involved in the local union, not forgetting, that building. Which, unfortunately, people get busy lives. So they kind of, some things get lost in all the noise of life. And for me, that was never lost. Having that was never lost on me. So I was very loyal to that and just did things with a union mindset. Mm-hmm. Work hard, make sure that you're making the boss money, but make sure that you're doing it with the proper conditions and not, and making sure that the men and women that you're working with are being taken care of as well. And then so being a shop steward on a few jobs, I was asked to, hey, would you be interested in running for an office? And I was, I'd like to help out. I was a fireman for a number of years and rose to the ranks as a fireman, lieutenant, captain, the whole 9 yards. And so, because I like to help out, I like to be involved.
That's great.
Right? And so I won the election, won my first election. I won every election I ever ran for, but yeah, so I was lucky in that sense. I guess not being a jerk to the people you work with helps, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But eventually being on the executive board, Kevin Harvey, who was the business manager at the time, had asked me if I would like to come aboard as a business rep. And I was like blown away by that. All the positions that I served at the local union, whether examining board, executive board, shop stewards committee. I was an instructor with the JATC for years. Never dawned on me that I would ever be a business rep, and then I never sought, for it at all. And when Kevin asked me to come on board, I was like blown away. I was like, absolutely. He goes, well, go home, talk to your wife. It's long hours. I'm like, my wife is on board with it. Trust me, she's a union girl herself.
That's great.
I will go home and talk to her about it, but I could tell you right now.
What union does she belong to?
Well, she works for CSEA.
Okay.
So she works for the staff. She's the staff union there. So, and she's been there for a very long time.
That's great.
Yeah. So that was no problem at all. She was like, "Oh yeah, you should take that. That would be
good.
good. That'd be good for you." And that's where that's where I am today. It's my position. So.
And not just in that position as well, but all the jobs or economic development right now, or the emergence of a lot of the offshore wind projects that are going on, IBEW 25 being at the forefront of a lot of those particular things and initiatives. We talk about training, you tell us a little bit more about your role within offshore wind for IBEW 25, or what you've been able to learn and accomplish.
Yeah. Well, Kevin Harvey, I told you earlier, brought me on board.
Yeah.
And he was business manager at the time. There was a job I worked on over at Brookhaven National Lab. BP had done a 200-acre, 32 meg solar farm out there. And it was the largest solar farm in our area at the time. And I'd worked on it. And I had a bit of a flair for, or an enjoyment in working on some renewable energy stuff. So a couple of years into my career, Kevin Harvey was like, I need you to go to this meeting on offshore wind, or go to that. I just kind of, I guess because of that solar job, I ended up becoming the renewable energy guy.
Yeah.
And I enjoy doing it, and I think it's important. I think it's got huge potential for our industry and and jobs for our members. So that's top of mind, of course. But basically looking at some of this offshore wind stuff since 2015.
Wow.
Wow,
yeah,
right as they were starting to do the Block Island wind stuff, put that together, and then just the evolution of everything happening. I guess these engines take a long time to start to, crank and get to speed. So I think almost 10 years now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so I've been involved with going to meetings and trying to support these causes, and whether that be through our advocacy up in Albany, or just going out and trying to, back at a developer on something, and speaking on behalf of projects. And that's whether it's wind or a solar project or some of this battery energy storage, stuff that's coming out now. All of which now are, controversial, I guess you could say.
Right.
In some way, shape, or form. I don't know.
Right.
But
well, tell me about, I know you had to get certain or specialized training on some of the offshore wind stuff, and, talking about you as being in that one particular lead, because I guess, you have a flair for it, you like doing it stuff, but, tell us a little bit more about, I guess the training that's involved, or, what you were able to accomplish for that as well.
So when we first had to start sending manpower to these projects, and that's one of the duties I'm charged with at Local 25. I dispatch, the employment there. So I'm on the employment desk. And it's time to start putting boots on the ground for this offshore wind stuff. The training requirements are insane. We have our safety certifications that we need for typical day-to-day jobs here. But when working offshore, that brings in a number of different, safety issues. You're in the middle of the water, so it's an environment where, like, if somebody hurts themselves, you can't just get an ambulance there quickly. So safety and whatnot are top of mind. But 5-day global wind organization training, basic safety training, is what was required. And we had to scramble the jets, get the crew that we were going to send offshore, and then go to a training center in Maryland, which was the closest one that we could find that had availability, that would have had our manpower ready to go when they were supposed to, get shipped off. And so through that, I took the training with them, because I want to know what it's like to have to go through this. I'm not going to send somebody offshore for 3 weeks without knowing what kind of training they need to have first, and what they got to go through,
right,
what the demands are. So I went through all the training with them, and it was fun. I enjoyed it, very, very physical, but a lot of safety that has to be considered. Obviously, middle of the water, middle of the ocean, but they're pretty tall structures as well, right?
Yeah.
And so working at height is a big deal. So a lot of very cool things there. 5-day basic safety training, working at heights, manual handling, sea survival, fire awareness, and first aid. So they did that. They have to take the physicals, and they have to take, this was really fun actually, Hewitt training, which stands for Helicopter Underwater Evacuation Training.
I've seen some video things about what that looks like.
It is, right? It is the coolest thing. It's like a Disney ride for adults that are adventurous, right? So they strap you, they teach you the process, but then they strap you into a mocked up helicopter, drop you into the water, flip you around, and then you have to escape, which is pretty cool.
I've seen some of the clips.
Not everybody passes
God
that.
forbid, yeah, exactly. God forbid that something happens. But
So apparently helicopters are not the safest things in the world if we have to train for these things. But better to be prepared than not. But a lot of fun doing that. And that was another day's worth of training. So got trained up. Training availability was difficult, like I mentioned earlier. So I know there were some folks that put together, through some collaboration, the National Offshore Wind Training Center, which is in Brentwood.
Okay.
And they put that together, and then I was approached as, hey, you do a lot of this stuff. Would you be interested in being an instructor? And I was like, well, listen, I got a full-time job right now, so you'd have to talk to my boss about that. And so he said yes. He said, yeah, we should definitely be heavily involved with all this stuff. And in a way, I mean, you sort of want to be in charge of your destiny to some degree, right? Mm-hmm. But you also, want to, have the ability to have discussions with your members as to what's required and what it's all about. And if it's something that we're involved with, it's a little more comfortable for our members to say, hey, look, we're involved with this. Look at how involved we're. So it can't be any more different than what we're doing now. I mean, the logistics are different, but electrical work's electrical work, right? We're building power plants out on the water, you know, one turbine at a time. So we're in a good position for it.
What's great, I mean, to have the facility in Brentwood, obviously with all the work that's being done on Long Island, not having everybody have to go to Maryland to be able to get that, facilitate that training. So now you're training the trainers, or you're training the new, the groups, or everybody, I guess, that comes through.
I'm not training trainers yet. I guess that's a different level of training. I'm not.
Next level.
I'm not going there. No. I'm fine training.
Until you're asking.
Candidates. Yeah. Until I'm asked, right? Yeah, exactly. I should learn how to say no one day. It might be my life would be easier.
You're elevated. You're good.
Right.
It's good.
Right. But just training participants and whatnot. I'm very happy with that. That's good.
That's awesome. So next steps for Tim, so you got this career now, where do you see yourself, or you're just going to, continue? How many years have you been within the local now? I mean, I guess you're...
I'm in the local almost 30 years. I've been a business rep for almost 11. So time flies.
It does.
Yeah, and where do I see myself? To be honest with you, I don't know. The electrical business, it evolves at a pretty decent rate.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
So it's constantly changing.
It is. And whereas general construction and sites and the situations really don't, our industry is always refreshed with new technologies and whatnot. So it always keeps it interesting. Do I know where I'm going to be in 5 years? No, I have no idea where I'm going to be in 5 years.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Let's look at a crystal ball and say, where's Tim going to be?
I wish I knew.
No, but you're doing phenomenal work, and obviously your local and executive board recognizes that, and some of the really cool things with offshore wind. It's you're seeing these developments and the amount of jobs that are being created. In National Suffolk Building Trades, obviously you got the crew there, and they're promoting this because you see the economic opportunities that are there that can be developed, and you guys are at the forefront. And I'm proud to be involved and work with you guys as well and promote a lot of the incredible training through the JTC. NICA, involved, especially with IBEW. I mean, you said it is always evolving because it's technology, it's electric.
And hands down, the best training an electrician can get is through the national, through the JTC, the Joint Apprenticeship Training Committee.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
I went through 3 years of BOCES. BOCES is good. It's okay. It's like pre-K. When you start looking at what the JTC does to train our guys up.
Well, you got people from BOCES that roll into the
they
JTC,
do.
right?
Yep.
I mean, so that's like, you got one level and then you go into the next level of, skilled trades and training that you want to obtain.
Yeah, one of the benefits of going through the apprenticeship program, the instructors are guys that are working out in the field. So they fully, understand what these kids are going through on a daily basis. And one great thing is, instead of getting taught one way to do something, because there is definitely more than one way to skin a cat, especially in the electrical business. You learn so many different ways to do the same task. And not that that's what it's all centered around, but just through discussions with guys. Oh, I encountered this today. Oh, did you try this approach? You're like, wow, I didn't think about that. That's a great way. Maybe the next time that happens, I'll look at it from this angle. So how you get diversified in that education is second to none. Second to none. I used to ask my students every time I would hold a class. The first thing we would do, what did you guys learn today? What did your journey person show you today? You know, on the job site. You got any new trick of the trade? Did you learn something new? Let's talk about it a little bit. You know, and it gets guys engaged and whatnot, which is pretty fun. But yeah.
Again, Tim, I'm thankful to know you, to learn a little bit more about your background. And that's no BS. It's like, listen, think about, my progression. Again, I've been in the, supporting and serving labor for, the past 20 years. Yeah. And what's always inspired me, and we talked about this with some other interviews, is like seeing these training centers, seeing the quality of work that's being produced. It gets me really inspired because these are like the best in class, like universities for specific trades. Mm-hmm. And if I go through the ironworkers, carpenters, electrician, plumbers, you see the excitement with some of the people that are going through the program. Yeah. And then you can see the quality work. Again, I've been around for 20 years, so if I go to a training center, you may have the first year, and all of a sudden they're like that third year, and see the progression of how much. I've seen some people in there that were like so timid, and then the next year they're like swinging things around, like they know exactly what's going on, and they've been in the field. And you have those conversations, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we've learned this, that," and you could see their excitement, which gets me excited, And knowing that they have that progression, to get paid to learn this particular trade through their apprenticeship,
that's huge.
Is huge. Mm-hmm. And then once they get into the journeyman level status too, and then all these other things and the perks, again, I just feel really blessed and fortunate to know a lot of the different organizations because. You go through the training center, but you also have the executive leadership. People like yourself, again, you come from the trades, and then people that have hard work or, that could either inspire or help teach others, that's where you see progression, because you're serving other people.
Well, listen, and I'm a product of the people that I have worked with over the last, 30-ish years. There's no two ways about it. I have had some phenomenal guys that I've worked with, phenomenal leadership that has kind of guided me in the right direction or shaped me or helped me with this or that, So I'm fortunate to have those types of folks in my life to help, make who I am today.
Exactly, and I see that going through these particular, trade schools and apprenticeships right now through the training centers because, like you said, you have people that have been in the field that want to give back, that want to show that next generation of what it is, all the different tricks of the trade and how things are actually working, or that's, and the training centers, you're constantly learning because it's the evolution of what's next. Yeah. You're learning the next level of things. Yeah. And I work with like Local 7, and I was talking to one of the training instructors there, and it's like, well, if there's a new product that's out there or material that needs to be installed, they're going to train the trainers first, like the product, or the materials, like how does it get installed correctly? Yeah. Well, you got to go to the training centers and make sure that they're equipped and certified to train everybody else.
Yeah, you don't want to be teaching tomorrow's technology.
No.
You want to teach the most cutting-edge technology,
And Tim, that even goes back to the vocational high schools now, too. Are the kids in the vocational high school learning what it is, or can they apply and learn from in high school and then take that into an apprenticeship where they're going to get paid and then hone that skill even further? Yeah. And, again, to be a part of what's going on today, and again, to speak with people like yourself and have the ability to go through these training centers, and then, really promote that, educate people on what these career opportunities could look like, is what the ULA Network's all about. I mean, support, educate, promote union labor, and then our communities, and you guys, men and women, do so much for the communities that sometimes get overlooked as well. Some of the clubs that you have, all the volunteerism, the community.
Those are some of the things that make you proudest about the membership that you have, right? Is how they rise to the occasion on certain things. I mean, everybody's got their own little interest and stuff like that, and they find it and they help out with it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then the different clubs to keep some of these like groups even connected even more. Yeah. The Veterans Club that goes on over there, all these other subdivisions. And then how they, you can connect them all. It's just a really, inspiring opportunity.
Women's Committee, EWMC, lots of good stuff. Even look, if that's not your thing, you want part of the holiday and Christmas committee. That's a great thing with the entertainment committee or
Basketball,
whatever.
lacrosse.
Whatever.
I've seen them on Instagram. I gotta
Hockey.
get them. Hockey.
Come on, that's my sport.
All right. Well,
I started that.
We got to get some more content for the club.
There you go. They're a great bunch of guys too. So we went up to Canada for the first time last year, and the IBEW holds an annual tournament.
Okay.
And we went to Windsor, Ontario last year, which is just on the other side of the river from Detroit.
Okay.
What a blast!
I'm sure.
Those Canadians can play some hockey.
I'm sure. Oh, come on. I'm sure they can.
It was good. A lot of fun.
But Tim, again, I just want to thank you
My
for
pleasure.
all that you do, for shedding light on these particular opportunities in offshore, what you've learned, and how if somebody is interested, I guess do they walk up to IBEW 25's front door and say, how do I get involved, or is there other ways for people to join or learn more about your trade?
I mean, we have, whatever social media we can get out there.
I gotcha.
Mike. But our apprenticeship program does a test every 2 years. They take 2 classes out of that. So every 2 years they'll test and interview, and then decide, what size class would be appropriate for market shares that we have and whatnot. Because again, we can put thousands of people through our apprenticeship, but you
gotta find the jobs.
Got to make sure you got jobs for them as well. So careful eye on that. We have small work divisions and telecommunication division. Don't necessarily need to go through the apprenticeship program to get into. And so, folks could come by and fill out an application. And obviously, if there is a need for manpower, those applications get looked at and try and find the best candidates for it. And there's some schooling with all that stuff as well. Not the apprenticeship, but it's vocational tech school. So it's good though. There's then organizing is always an option as well.
Yeah. And for me,
So
learning
it's the hard road.
The hard road. But like converting some of those non-union contractors, and then you look at some of the best-in-class signatory contractors that you work with. Those opportunities and those signatories are hiring your members on that have all those quality skills there. It makes that's the stuff that you really want to promote and showcase.
Well, and speaking of promoting, this one thing drives me crazy is when people say, "Oh yeah, apprenticeship is the best kept secret," and it should not be. The best tradesmen are trained through apprenticeship programs, and the crafts spend billions of dollars a year on their apprenticeship programs, educating whatever trade, craft they're training for. And it really needs to be out there that the folks that you get when you hire the union contractors are the most trained, well-positioned people to complete a job for you. With high safety standards, high craftsmanship standards, productivity standards. So the fact that it's the best kept secret should not be. Like, I want it on neon signs, strobing around all over the place. And let everybody know about it.
And that's one of the reasons for me in the give back, because again, you look at macro, any union's power is in its membership, right? And the more membership, the more cash flow, the more opportunity, the more power. But that all lies on that education and those opportunities and the training that you guys get too, which, again, if I had the opportunity to go to like the super gym or just the one on the corner, and this one has every tool that that you could potentially use.
Yeah, I mean, why would you not want to do that?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So, but again, I want to thank you for everything that you do. Appreciate.
Thanks for having me.
You spend some time with us, and then
my pleasure.
We'll get all this information on all the socials.
All right.
Appreciate
Do
your time,
it.
Tim. All right, man.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, brother.
Good pleasure.
You got it, man.
I'd like to thank all our sponsors for helping to build and promote the ULA network. It is because of you that we're able to support, educate, and promote informative content relevant to labor. Please subscribe, like, and share our channel and media. I'd like to thank you all for your support.